Teacher of the Year, which strangely to me was a structure that most of the staff did not agree with, and we have discontinued it this year. The Leadership Award, which I was told the staff did not trust the process. Hence, in an effort to avoid any semblance of conflict, I took the decision to discontinue that as well. The third award was the Spirit of Parkinson Award. Most of us accept that we need to promote the traits and behaviors that best manifest what our school is about. And we have chosen to continue with this award, both for teachers and for students. The chosen staff member will again benefit from an all expenses paid attendance to the annual conference of the Association for Supervision and Curriculum Development. Last year, all 3 colleagues went to Los Angeles. This year, the winner will travel to Houston, Texas, where the conference will be hosted. The student will benefit from a ticket to New York for the annual educational tour. I'm not going to hide it. My daughter paid for it. Thank you, darling. I thank the Caribbean Development Bank. Well, Madam Maldi, you know, she does a really great impression of you. You know, she did it before. A vote for me is good for the country. I thank the Caribbean Development Bank and my daughter Leah for their support in helping to promote the positives of this school by their sponsorship of these awards. I also extend thanks to the Crane Hotel, Barbados Hilton, Golden Sands, Davy South Winds, and Mr. Stephen Belgrave of the Fish Pot at Sherman's and St. Peter for their invaluable support. Our teachers and general staff must be recognized for their efforts, and we must also work with our corporate partners to help us as we are willing to help others. Here I have had the honor and distinct pleasure to work with some amazingly wonderful people. Mrs. Patricia Doyle, who has got to be the greatest secretary any principal ever walked. She keeps me on my toes. She's always proactive in doing what is right for this school, her school. She's an old scholar, and she wants only the best for her. I have one problem with Miss Doyle. I've seen her call my house a few times, and when my wife is on the phone, they're laughing, and I know I have problems afterwards. Miss Sandra Lord, Information Technology Coordinator, a virtual gem, who just brings out the best in me every day. And Miss Joan Hope, I miss you there. You've gone on to your retirement, but you're people who really made my day at this school. I'm so pleased that the Lord has sent me here so I can interact with you all. And many, many others, including Mr. Hope, who saw the need for water. Of course, it came from Mrs. Doyle. And to have interacted with some wonderful children who not only needed my help, as my daughter said to me at that time, but who have also been quite willing to openly express their appreciation. I have been blessed. Anyone who knows me professionally knows that I have always lived with the professional maxim that simply states, before children care how much you know, they want to know how much you care. Trust me, I care, and I care deeply about these children. Equally significant is something that I wrote in the Barbados Union of Teachers magazine Outlook as far back as the early 1990s. I did not even remember that I'd written it. Then I said, and I even more strongly believe it now, that no teacher or principal should be allowed to stay at any one school for more than 10 years. In addition to the need for diverse experiences, it will address a major negative that has recently developed within our school system. Those who are at schools for what in some cases seem an eternity begin to think that they have ownership of it, and they stop responding to the real and unfolding challenges, choosing instead to focus on deciding how things should be done here because this is how we usually do it. The children are not usual. The training is not usual. The challenges are not usual, so the responses cannot be usual. We need to have more pets on staff. These are teachers who plan, evaluate, and think of ways and means of overall school, student, and self-improvement and success. In Barbados, and I dare say, in the world, there is a CBC group, and not my favorite television station. And Parkinson is no exception. It is my duty as principal, and I have tried in diverse ways, sometimes engendering unnecessary and uninvited conflict, to minimize the number of CBCers who complain, blame, and criticize, while seeking to increase the number of pets. I have not been fully successful, but it's a duty that is part of a wider journey that I will continue to travel. I have been publicly accused of changing, and here you come media, I have been publicly accused of changing the school's timetable. I stand here and say it's an absolute nonsense and a blatant untruth. A principal cannot change the timetable when it is his duty to develop. I have consistently requested, received, and used the allocation recommendations of the respective heads of department to develop the timetable. That is done at every school I know, and I know it no other way. It is factual that my trust was betrayed in 2013, and I was left on the last day of school in a very embarrassing position with no timetable having been done, despite giving a team of persons more than a month of free time to work on its development. Mr. Lane, you're aware of this. Not willing to accept the embarrassment and a measure of blackmail that was built into what was said to me, I committed my entire summer vacation, my personal finances, and the assistance of Mr. Ken Lane to constructing a timetable for the school. Much too often, persons who make these complaints are seeking control. And in my life, that bird has no wings. I respect collective responsibility, but also accept personal accountability. Every accepted idea must be consistent with the expressed and agreed strategic focus of the school. Failing that, chaos reigns. My first 3 weeks here at Parkinson were spent reading everything I could find about the school, inclusive of the strategic plan, which is now up for review and renewal. The entry and exit statistics and disciplinary records. It was clear to me that the school was totally underperforming, and I saw it as my duty to reverse that trend. It could not be right for more than 60% of children leaving school each year with a single certificate, and more than 40% being superannuated without even being given a chance to enter the examination room. I felt then, and I feel now, that we are better than that. It was not acceptable to me to see a school CXC pass rate to be in the low 40 percentile. I also saw it as intellectually lazy for me to supervise any institution where children come into school with low achievement data and with identifiable challenges, and then we allow them to go from first form to fifth with no specific intervention approaches to help them. These are Barbadian children, and like I said before, I have always lived with a healthy respect for the weakest link principle. I accepted this as my major duty to address. I established a broad-based curriculum committee, put my professional views and suggestions on paper, gave every teacher an opportunity to give a personal response, and then asked all heads of department to sit with their members, review what they had in writing from me, and give their informed responses and suggestions. Everyone did. And it was very pleasing to me this week to hear Mr. Lane say he has all of the responses. He was the chairman of the committee. I thank you for keeping it, Mr. Lane. There are some teachers who would have wanted another plenary session to go back over what we'd already agreed upon. But I did not accept that, and I didn't. In the end, a number of my views were thrown out, as to be expected, and the department has got more than 80% of what they had requested. When the heads of the department in here, Mr. Lane, Mr. Broomes, Ms. Hope, all of here who can attest to that. Those are the facts as they are known to me, and that can be easily verified by 4 former heads that are here this afternoon. Indeed, I was even encouraged to go further than we actually did. In his written submission, the head of science wrote, the department feels that the major thrust should be to make bold changes to the curriculum instead of rearranging the curriculum design. To which I responded, I support the notion of bold changes, but these must always be tendered by resources, human, time, financial, and material. I assure the department that others believe that we have been too bold here. I further assure you that our focus is similar, but we need also to be restrained and directed by a process of review and readjustment. I believe that I was professional, level-headed, and measured here. It must also be noted that each year head was given a forum to make informed contributions, but only 2 responded. Such actions from those who did not respond could not be allowed to compromise the thrust for the school improvement. The past year has been particularly stressful for me, in more ways than any one person can fully comprehend. I have tried to stay strong and maintain my integrity and sense of decency. I have not always won the battle, even fallen on one occasion to experience a blackout and having to be waking up in Sandy Crest. I, however, want to extend thanks to my family who have suffered much and have had to go through a lot more than they deserve. My friends and workmates and colleagues, students and the very supportive groups known as the Old Scholars, inclusive of the past cadets and the parents. You have made it that much easier for me. A major disappointment of mine here is that we did not have a functioning parent-teacher association for the entire year. Hence, I could not lean on them for the interaction needed at such times. I am, however, very pleased to welcome the interim committee and commend Mrs. Walton and her executive for the positive work they have begun.